Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Fernando Rosario, and I am here today with ALPFA's CEO, Damian Rivera, a good friend, coach, leader, and someone who's changing the community, as you know. Thank you for joining us. We're going to provide you some good information today. And the topic for today's conversation, before I turn it over to my good friend, Damian, is ALPFA's LEAD program, which is coming up right next to convention. But before we get started and jump ahead, Damien, give us a good welcome as you usually do.
Yeah, hey Fernando, it is exciting. I am excited to be here. I want to say hey to everybody. Damian Rivera, CEO for ALPFA. For those that don't know ALPFA, don't know what it stands for, our mission, I will give you our mission statement. Our mission is to empower and develop Latino men and women as leaders of character in every segment of the global economy. I said that fast because even if I said it slow, you would ask the same question. What does it really mean? And in a single word, what it means is access. ALPFA is about access to opportunities, access to the information, those unspoken rules that we need to know in our community to be able to give us the opportunity to be able to continue our acceleration, our ascension into the next levels in the corporate America. Currently, we are only 4% of the executive ranks, but we are 20% of the population, and that needs to change now. And that is what today's about. So, Fernando, I am excited to be able to have this conversation with you. Looking forward to the next few minutes.
I am absolutely thrilled to be here. So let's start with the basics, Damien. So before we jump into the program, and by the way, I've been part of ALPFA for many years. I am a strong believer, supporter of what ALPFA's mission and vision is. So before we talk about the program that we have in store for you, I just want to hear, Damien, a bit about your mission, not just with ALPFA, but also a personal mission with the community. What is it that you're trying to get to specifically in this case with the professional community?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll give a little bit of my background for those that aren't aware of kind of even how I got here to start talking about the mission. What I tell folks is, God willing, I'll live a long, long time, right? I already have kids, maybe one day grandkids, but not too soon. My kids are still young, maybe a little ways down the road. I want to be able to say that when I had an opportunity to do something meaningful, when I had an opportunity to do something for our community that was meaningful for them, meaningful for my family, meaningful for myself, I jumped in. Both feet jumped in to make an impact. And so the personal mission that I'm on is making an impact in our community every single day. The number one focus that we have as ALPFA is daily impact for our members. And that spans a lot of different areas, but daily impact. And the LEAD program is one of the most important ones that we have right now. And the reason why it's critically important, and it ties to the ALPFA mission, that point around access that I was referring to. We all know that when there are difficult economic times, when there are difficult or uncertainty ahead, and sometimes opportunity and uncertainty are combined ahead, oftentimes our community is left out of that conversation. Oftentimes, Black and Brown community is the most negatively impacted by that. And so our LEAD program this year, we had a very intentional focus when we came out of last year, is we said we want to double what we are able to do from an impact perspective. The great news is that we've actually quadrupled the number of folks that are signing up for the program. And so it's a fantastic thing. But as all of us are in the ALPFA leadership team, the ALPFA community, ALPFA L.E.A.D is, okay, so if we did that, then let's do more. And so we want to make sure that there's more folks that are aware of this opportunity to be able to really gain those lessons, to really create that impact for themselves on their journey ahead.
And Damien, let me follow up on that again before we deep dive into the LEAD program. So based on providing access, better opportunities, daily changes, how do you define success? Like, if you were to transport yourself 5 years, 10 years from now, what does success look like for that impact to the community?
Yeah, so there's a couple of what I'll call key metrics that we'll put out there. One of them that is what I'll say is it's very tangible, is by 2030, we want to be at 1 million members. And I'm going to tell you why that matters and why that's important. Right now, the single largest demographic in the United States is the 10 to 19-year-old Latino. What that means is over the next 6.5 years, Those individuals will be going into college, through college, into their first career, and getting to that point to be able to be that first-time executive. For many of those individuals who are, the first to graduate from college, they will also be the first to go into the corporate world.
Wow.
And what I say is, shame on us if we are not creating a pathway and access to information that will allow for that to occur, allow for us to be that support system, to allow for students that may not consider going away to college, or may not consider going for that job that's across the country because they don't know anybody in that location, to say, wait a second, there's an Alpha chapter there. I have a family built into where I'm going, whether it's in school, in college, whether it's a 2-year college or 4-year, whether it is a new state to go to for your new corporate career, but always knowing wherever you are, you've got the A Familia there to support you on your mission for impact. And so that's a big focus that we have by the end of 2030. It's frankly, this is the first time I've said it publicly. So it feels a little bit like, okay, now it's really real, right? We've talked to our chapter leaders about this, and they are hyped up for it as well. But we have a lot of work to do. And this is one of the key components of that. And it's the creation of that pathway to the C-suite. And so for those that attend convention or are watching us on social media, you're going to start seeing a lot more of that pathway to the C-suite initiatives, going all the way from college through the first job into those executive ranks to those C-suite positions.
And I'm a strong believer of that mission, Damian. And let me ask you the following. So that's what ALPFA is doing. That's what you are doing. Before we start the conversation in more details, what do you ask of the audience that is listening to us? Is it a shift in mindset? Is it, this is what you can do? Where can they find resources before we deep dive into LEAD?
Yeah. So one of the most important things, and it ties into our convention theme, right? Convention theme, reframe. Right. So considering how are you going to reframe the possibilities that you have out there, and you have AI coming up. And for those, a lot of the folks, the target demographic for our LEAD program are going to be individuals that were around when the internet was kind of starting up, right? And remember back then when you saw, it feels, I'll say this, it feels a lot similar. It feels very similar now to what it did then. A lot of opportunities. And sometimes we just didn't maybe have access to be able to get the capital to create a startup, the access to the job opportunity, the access to the information that we needed to be able to take those next steps. And so as we think about what ALPFA is doing, and we think about the mindset, the framing, that's what our convention's all about, the reframe. It is about the power of our stories. We talked about that the past few years, the stories that we've been on, the journeys that we've been on, leveraging our stories and the power of who we are and where we come from, not as a detriment to who we are, but what powers us as we move forward. But I remember getting asked the question over and over, do you want to tell us why it was so difficult growing up in Harlem? I would be on interviews that they would always ask that. And I got tired of it. And at a certain point I said, you know what, I'll answer that question after I tell you why I am better in the boardroom than anyone, because I grew up in Harlem, because I grew up in the projects, what I have, who my family is, the community that raised me. I am better because of that. And there hasn't been a time where it's failed, where after I give thee, this is why I am so good at what I do in the corporate world, because of who I am and my journey and all the Latinidad that I have in me. The answer that they always give afterwards is, we understand what you're saying. We don't need you to tell us why it was hard, right? So that reframing of the power that we have, the journeys that we have. Now, the call to action that I ask is, if you specifically are thinking, you know what, this is fantastic for me, but potentially there is a cost associated with it, right? We need to put the program on. We have a Convince Your Boss letter. So click on the button. If you go to alpha.org /page/lead, you'll see it in the bottom over there. Convince Your Boss letter to be able to help support you to get to the convention, to get to the LEAD program, which is also tied to the convention. If you want to stay for the convention, you can, although you don't have to. So consider that for yourselves, right? But also consider, who do you know in your network? Who are those people that you have been supporting? If you are in those senior positions already and you are saying, you know what, I'm past where this is. Okay, who do you know? Who are the mentees that you have? Who are the people that you are sponsoring that will be able to benefit from what this opportunity provides? Let them know about it. Right? The sharing of the information is going to be critical to what we do as we move forward. One more piece that I want to make sure I hit on, and then we could go into the details of LEAD because it ties into it. One of the pieces that you will see, if you've seen the ALPFA framework, if you've gone into alpha.org as a member, our membership portal, you'll see inside Alpha Plus, which is our learning system, 6 categories of focus that we have. The first is business mastery. The idea behind that is you better be good at what you do, right? So if you are finance and accounting focused, table stakes. When you walk into a room, when you walk into an office, the expectation is that you are going to be good at what you do. That is not going to be a differentiator to get to that next level. That is the expectation, is that you're good at what you do. There's a lot of people good at what you do. The second area of focus is professional EQ. We consciously do not call it soft skills because the reality is soft skills kind of sound like the nice to have skills, but the reality is they are the survival skills. They are the you better have skills to be able to help you get to that next level. I will give an example of that. 2 years before I was up for senior executive promotion, and for that's the equivalent of partner or principal, right? Managing director at different places. I got a call from one of the big dog senior executives that was in the room. He was like, hey, do you want to know what they're saying about you in the pipeline call? I was like, absolutely. Now, I'm expecting him to say that I am the best thing since sliced bread. Of course, they're going to promote me, and man, they're going to promote me early. Except that is the opposite of what was said. What he said was, they will never question whether you can deliver work. They see you delivering every day. They didn't see me as someone who can have C-suite relationships. They didn't see me as that person who can get those deals done. They saw me as hands-on keys guy. It was frustrating. I was highly upset by it. And the coaching I received was, well, you can do a few different things. You could leave and say, you know, shame on them. They should see me for what I am, not what that was. Or you can do something about it. So I had a 2-year head start where I was able to demonstrate very clearly, these are the C-suite relationships I have, so that I could get that promotion. Here was the other thing that I realized and recognized. There was a component of it, the control what you can control. I wasn't controlling everything I could control. My brand in the organization up to that point, I had always focused it on being like the wolf from Pulp Fiction. For those that have seen Pulp Fiction, not the bad stuff he would do, but the wolf was the person that you call that would clean everything up, right? Clean everything up, make it okay. So that's my brand that I called Damian. He could help fix a project. Fantastic, great. Problem is, I wasn't a partner in that. I couldn't create deals with that, right? And so I started to have to take more control over my personal brand. How do I shift my brand from that person? So yes, still my values brand stayed the same, but my technical brand needed to shift and evolve. I had to become the creative deal shaper in addition to the person that can get things done, right? So that's the EQ piece. The last few pieces, wealth creation. And we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go into more details. Wealth creation, we consciously do not call it financial literacy. We call it wealth creation because we want people thinking about what are you tangible steps you are doing to take action on building wealth. It is not just about learning and being literate from a financial standpoint. It is the actions that you have to take to be able to build that wealth and then retain it and transfer it down to future generations. Health and wellness is the next one. Mental health, physical health. How are you taking care of yourself? Community engagement. If all these things are going well for you, what are you doing to give back into the community? And the last area we call extrapreneurship. It's a combination of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. We all know entrepreneurship and we love it. Intrapreneurship. How do you go ahead and leverage entrepreneurial tendencies, which in the Latino community, we are the fastest growing new businesses out there. We are entrepreneurs. How do you leverage that inside of a company to be able to build your brand and get into those senior positions? So those are the areas of focus that we have in our LEAD program. And I want to talk more about it. And there's some questions that are coming through. What I will encourage it, please ask any question you want. There is no such thing as an off-limit question. You can ask why the sky's blue if you want. I will do my best to answer that. Ask anything that you feel is going to add value to you and add value to the community that gets a chance to watch this.
Ask the questions, and I'm going to be queuing them up. So we're going to make sure that we get those questions answered. Damian, let's take a step back for a second. So we've talked about the pillars, the focus areas that we're going to be talking about. Alpha's mission, what you're doing for the community, the impact. But there are some folks in the call that don't really understand what LEAD is. Tell me, frame it for a second. Is this a webinar? Is this a full day session? What is LEAD when it comes to Alpha?
Yeah, LEAD when it comes to Alpha is our premier program for getting executives. So you've already gotten to that first step. Not sufficient, it's to that next step. That senior executive position. It is in person. It is the day before. It starts the day before the full convention starts in Las Vegas. August 3rd is when it starts, and it goes through August 4th. So it's 2 days. Those that want to stay for the full convention can easily go ahead and stay. Those that want to head home can easily head home after the 4th. It is focused in person because we want to make sure that we are enabling those relationships building as well as the content learning as part of the course. Those 6 pillars that we just discussed all get hit on as part of the program. The most important piece for me that was important for us as a whole to put into the program was an actionable, tangible plan. So when you leave, you will leave with your tangible plan. It will have your action plan for getting to that next level. It'll have your action plan for change. It'll have your action plan for what are you thinking about from a health and wellness standpoint, from a wealth creation standpoint, all of those pieces, right? It doesn't promise to solve every problem in the world. It does not promise that. What it does do is it promises to make sure that you are building the momentum towards getting to that next level, and you have access to peers that are also focused on that, as well as speakers as part of the event that are second to none, like amazing, amazing speakers.
And Damien, let me ask you to follow up on that. Is it over? So I attend the 2 days, I get some really, tangible, actionable, we get the plans, but are we done? So I leave, attend convention, and that's it?
No, absolutely not. So you are part of a community at that point. You become part of the LEAD alumni group. And so the idea behind it is that we continue to grow this alumni network that is as strong as any alumni network across the country from any college, any university, anything. It is a strong group within the ALPFA L.E.A.D that allows us to be able to support each other as we are going along our journey. It's an exciting time. As we said, we've quadrupled the attendance for this year. The reason why it is critically important that we continue, and we've actually rearranged the seating a bit to open up a few more seats. The reason why that's critically important is this. During difficult economic times, and during times of significant change and where companies are reimagining what they're doing going forward, oftentimes what happens is the Latino community gets forgotten about along that path. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are providing the access to the type of information needed so that every single person, when they leave that room, has the type of information, has the network, has the continuous connections to be able to make sure that not only are they getting the information they need for their next step, but they understand their responsibility to continue opening the door for those coming behind them and create a pathway there as well, right? And that is why I keep saying the phrase, this is about leader of leaders, right? Everybody that's part of this course are leaders of leaders. And with that, we will be able to bridge that 4% to 20% gap.
Excellent. And let me add a couple of things. So I've been part of the LEAD program since its inception, and I am thrilled about the program. Not only in size, as Damian was saying, we quadruple. I mean, we have some very exciting changes to the program, new things that you're going to be able to experience. And that brings me to a couple of questions that I have in the chat, Damian. So I'm going to throw those real quick your way. So number one, are there any opportunities to connect with industry experts during the program? Let's start with that one.
So I'll give you some examples of folks that are going to be there. So last year, folks may remember Richard Montañez spoke as a keynote speaker to our entire convention. It was fantastic, awesome, right? Everybody's aware of his movie. Everybody's aware, the first ever multicultural marketing person globally. Imagine having that access to conversations with him in person in a very small setting, a small group, right? The types of questions that can be asked, types of information that can be learned, right? So he is one of the speakers for our LEAD program this year. We've developed a great relationship with him over the past year, and he wanted to make sure he was there to be able to help support this generation of leader of leaders. Nina Vaca is another person. For those that don't know Nina's story, I mean, she is just an amazing person. She's served multiple presidents, a global ambassador for entrepreneurship. She understands and is the epitome and is of a leader of leaders who knows how to build businesses, who knows what it takes for people inside of businesses, entrepreneurs, to get to that next level. Right. And she gives you the no nonsense type of answers that are needed. Right. One of the topics I know that you always talk about is the truth bombs. Right. Yeah. In this session, it's going to be Chatham House rules, which means, right, stories stay, lessons leave. So we can have conversations and be able to have some very real talk about what is required to be able to get there. What is that understanding, the no nonsense type of things from people who have gotten there, and more importantly than that, people who have created opportunities, access, and helped others, hundreds, if not thousands of others to get there as well, right? So it's an exciting time. We will also, of course, hit on the topic of AI, and we have Marcelo that's going to be attending, who's just released a book. It is awesome. So it's hitting on everything our members need in order to have the right network in place, the right type of information, the access to those individuals who are typically in the room making decisions on the most senior levels.
And I got to say, the not only the learnings from the speakers, I mean, the caliber of individuals that are going to be there, including the participants. You're going to learn from the speakers. You're going to learn from each other. The conversations are transparent. And I got to tell you, one of the best things about the LEAD program too is that we shift the conversation where it needs to go. So it's not a set recipe and it is what it is, but we are able, willing, and flexible to, depending on where the conversation is going, the Q&A sessions. We're going to have panels, fireside chats. We're going to have presentations. We're going to have, the exercises and the handouts. So that's all great information. So Damian, for those individuals that I know are already considering, there's a question over here on how could I prepare for the program?
Yeah. So it's like a couple of key things to prepare. I mean, one is you want to make sure that you come with a clear mind. And this is where it hits on the health and wellness part, right? Clear mind on what goals do you want to have coming out of this?
Yes.
But that is one of the most important things. Are you coming into this program with a focus and a goal of, look, I am a senior manager looking to get to partner or principal in the next year? Right? Okay. So what types of questions, what types of discussions do I need to have? Are you a partner or principal who had just gotten to that level and are looking to get to that next level there? Right? Having a clear mind on what you want to achieve coming out of it.
Absolutely.
Number two, I would say also do a little research on the speakers so that you can ask the types of questions that are not those easy surface level things that they get typically, like a lot of times, that you're able to hit on something that is very unique to what they are going to be able to give you in terms of actionable insights. The other piece is hold yourself accountable for making sure that all of the pre-read material that you get, and there's not going to be a ton, right? Just a couple of small things, making sure you know who the bios are, the agenda is, et cetera. There's some small stuff out there, making sure that you review that so that you're coming in prepared. The idea behind this is it's not a heavy lift to engage in it, but when you are there, right, you're there.
You're there.
Like say what my dad used to always say, if you're going to be there, be there. And so while you are there, you are making sure you are focused. So have that preparation up front to know what you are focused on accomplishing moving forward, as well as what are you looking to be able to do from a give back perspective.
Yes.
What I mean by that is everybody that's going to be in that room is already in a position that others are following them. Everybody in that room is already a leader. And so thinking about how are you going to be able to give back and learning those lessons from others. The last piece I'd say is, and it's the reason why the seeing and learning about who's going to be there, prepare yourself for the networking.
Yeah.
Some folks like myself, believe it or not, I am very introverted at heart. I'm happy to sit in my chair over there and kind of be in the corner and just kind of, people watch. But I know you need to get out there and network.
Yeah.
And the critical piece here, and you hit on it earlier, Fernando, is this is a room of individuals that in 10 years are going to be in the C-suite of companies across the globe. You want to make sure you're making those connections. In addition, not everybody in there is going to be from the same industry. Be people from a lot of different industries. Now, why that's important is with where AI is going, think about what was happening or what happened when the internet kind of first started. New ideas often came from the intersectionality of other ideas. And so the other key piece that we were focused on in curating the content as well as the participation is making sure that it's not everybody from one industry or segment. We wanted to make sure that we had this group that was multidisciplined, because what it ends up doing is it creates innovation, right? People talk about the most innovative square mile in the world is Rittenhouse Square over in the Boston area. And the reason why they consider it the most innovative square mile is because of all the schools that are in the area, and you have the scientists bumping into each other and the artists, etc. And it is in each of those contexts, or I did this, but I'm going to do this. In each of those contexts, right, that translate to new innovations occurring, new opportunities arising. And there has never been a time in history, in my belief, we are in the next revolution that's occurring, right? The next industrial revolution that's occurring with AI technology. How are you going to position yourself to make sure that the Latino community is incorporated into it by design, and make sure that you are in the rooms making decisions and creating access to opportunity for others to be able to also follow your footsteps, follow your legacy, and make those decisions as they are coming through as well. So hopefully that answered a little bit of your question there.
That was great. And David, I'll say, so a good friend of mine, Rick Pina, he's an author, and he says, we're going to invite you to the dance, but you got to do the dancing. And it seems that LEAD is going to provide the music, the lights, the dance floor. You're going to provide the dancing shoes. You're even going to bring dancing partners, but you're asking them, but you got to step into the floor and do a little bit of dancing with us.
That's right. I love that analogy. And for those that actually want to dance, you can stay for convention because they will be dancing at the gala at convention. But with respect to this, you are absolutely right. I mean, to me, it's I will tell you personally, it is hard and draining to network at times. But I also love it. It's weird, right? Because I love everything about it, but also my natural state of kind of being back, right? And so it gives an opportunity for everybody to be able to jump in. And I promise you this, if you're out there like, I don't know if I'm going to know how to do it, I promise you there will be folks in the room like myself, like Fernando, that will support you along that way to make sure you're making the right connections in that room.
100%. Damian, one more question over here. So people are thinking there are other programs. What makes LEAD different? What sets it apart? So give us a sense of your take on that.
I mean, I think it's two key pieces. One is we're very intentional about the action plan coming out. Oftentimes, a lot of the programs out there are focused on sort of leadership development, and you leave having learned some good stuff, but there isn't necessarily a very explicit, here's what I'm going to do. It's the second piece. Having a cohort with you going through this allows for a higher probability of success for each individual, because now you have a team of folks that together, okay, now I'm taking action. So accountability partners are going to be built into what this is. The organic mentorship that occurs by having peers that are able to help support you on your way, right? The last piece is with respect to that cohort, the community that we're building out as part of this, the alumni group that you will be part of forever.
Yes.
Right. And so to me, those are pieces that make it differentiated. The other part that I'll add into there is, frankly, that, and I said this before a bit, and I'm going to dive deeper into it. The true holistic engagement with individuals. When I first started, I remember talking about how wealth creation was going to be one of the topics of focus. Yeah. And getting someone reaching out saying, wait a second, if you're going to try to sell products to me, I don't want to know that's not what this should. I said, no, that's not what this is. But if you tell me that we should not be talking about wealth building in our community, then we won't. But if you think that we need to be sharing that information with each other, right, which I do think we need to, I think we need to share information about health and wellness as well. Right. For a lot of us, and I'll stick on the wealth creation for a second. I don't know about you, but we didn't talk about that stuff really at the dinner table. Right. And so making it okay to have those conversations, making it okay to understand that one of the biggest wealth creation or wealth transfers that's happening right now across the country is the selling of businesses from a lot of baby boomers whose kids don't want those businesses. And so those businesses are available, and it's an asset class called entrepreneurship through acquisition, right? Each business buying, that I will tell you, when I go to forums that are focused on that, I don't see the Black and brown community there in mass. We're not really there, right? And so my thing is, like, we got to create the access to the information. We're going to talk about it. Each individual has a responsibility, to your point of they need to be willing to dance. Yeah. Everybody has a responsibility on their own to then decide what actions they will take. Right. I give this analogy every single time when I talk. Maybe I need to come up with another one just to keep it fresh, but I'll use it one more time here. Think about physics for a second. You got potential energy and you got kinetic energy. Potential energy, you don't get something real happening until you convert it over to kinetic energy. And so an example of that is every conversation you have as part of this event with all of the participants, 200 other folks with you in that room. Every conversation you have, every person you get to meet and learn, every single adds to that potential energy. But what really matters is what actions you take when you leave the room. That's the kinetic energy. That is what's going to change communities. That is what's going to change the world. I firmly believe, I believe this to my core, the ALPFA L.E.A.D, what we have, our culture as an organization is extremely special. And I believe this program, with all the components, the wrapper support systems, the cohort, the working together, and then being able to go back to your communities and deliver on the action plans that you are creating, make it extremely special and very sticky, meaning the likelihood of success along the path is significantly higher. And so, I'm looking forward to, hopefully seeing a lot of folks there.
So no, this is great, Damian, and I'm going to answer one of the questions in the room here. What happens post the program? Yes, we will be looking to provide networking opportunities, additional resources. We're looking to provide additional content to be consumed by the alumni class. So the idea, as Damian was explaining, is to create a very, very close alumni network that you can leverage, not for the next 3 months, but for the rest of your career. And I don't know, Damian, if you want to add some color commentary to that, but this is not a once and done deal. This is for you to leverage for the remainder of your career.
Yeah, so it's not just the one and done. It is about making significant change, right? So I talked about the 4% and 20%. And a lot of people hear that number often. I did a couple of double clicks onto that, went into the Bureau of Labor Statistics, looked at the actual data. That is about a 500,000 person gap. There's about a 500,000 person gap in the number of executives that we don't have in corporate America. And so we see it as our responsibility to create the pathway, not just for right now, but for ever, right? And that can be passed down so that your kids, your kids' kids, your kids' 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 kids are able to be part of this system of learning. This is how it works there. Now, there was also a question that was asked around, what about people that aren't focused on corporate?
Correct.
Right? We got a whole lot of entrepreneurs. We got individuals that are focused in other areas. If you are at that 10+ year career mark, right? Even if you're not in corporate, this is the type of program that's for you, right? And because what it's going to do is, if you're in entrepreneurship, a lot of very similar lessons. In addition, you're able to network in with folks that are in industries that maybe your products or services might be a good fit for. If you're interested in other areas, again, it's the network as much as the learning itself that is going to be of significant value. There was also another question I think I saw about, what about those that are a little bit earlier in their career, right? Like what's going on there?
And for students, let me rephrase that. So the question, so we can put it together, right, is for individuals that have not reached that management or executive level, and for students. So if you want to address that in the same answer, that would be great.
Yeah. So one of the things that you're going to start hearing about at convention is our, again, pathway to the C-suite. We have a path for executives at convention. I'll hit on students and moving up there in a second. Where the content, powerful perspectives, we're hearing from C-suite folks, board members of Fortune 500s. We're hearing from the people that are in the room, sharing the information, the unspoken rules, right? That is there for that group. In addition, now we'll jump over to the student side. Phenomenal opportunity to be able to get the workshops. These 6 areas of focus are the 6 areas of focus for a convention. Right. And so you have an opportunity through the workshops that are happening at convention to get these types of insights also. And essentially think of it like a pyramid. You're building your structure and framework. And there's many folks that are part of the LEAD program that I've already seen are also registered for the convention, where you'll be able to network with them as well. So you'll be able to get a lot of that foundation building for your career. And what I will say is this: as a student, you are ahead of the game, because you're going to hear the lessons through convention, through your local chapters, and engaging with professionals about how do you short circuit some of these longer paths to actually make them shorter. What are those unspoken rules that you need to know about, right? You're going to be able to get that information as part of your chapters. In addition, for those mid-career folks, we are developing more programs at the chapter level as well. Last year in Chicago, we launched the first one of it. It was a pilot. It was fantastic. It was for executives, but so that mid-career executive. And so we are looking to have more of these types of initiatives in local chapters to make it easier and more accessible for all of our members. So you will start seeing even more of that development. Next year at convention, we will be launching a significant new initiative that you all will hear about then. I'm not going to go into it now, but it will also hit on those points as well.
So Damian, we're getting close to the end of the conversation. So I want to do, and we've covered all of the questions. So thank you for that. Let me ask now bluntly, right, in a quick package. As a participant, when I walked away from LEAD, what should I expect out of it? Like, what am I taking out? I know you've mentioned many different areas, but package it up as a final thought on what will you get out of it?
You're going to get clarity on achieving your highest aspirations. And the reason I keep it like that is for each individual there, what that specific thing means is going to be slightly different. And the key piece for me is that clarity. And I just put 2 words together: the clarity on the action, right? The actions you take are going to be what is going to transform your careers, but having the clarity on the steps you need to take. Right. And it is extremely important. I'm going to give you one example. I know I'm going to go a little bit long because of this. I'm going to give you one small example on the type of learning that you'll have. I remember when I was up for the senior executive role, the partner, MD, whatever you want to call it, I had a conversation with someone, Pedro Suriel, who's like, okay, so are you ready to have that conversation about, to make sure that they're supporting you? I was like, absolutely. He was like, you sure you're ready? I was like, maybe not. So what do I not know? He's like, so how are you going to have that conversation? It's like, well, ask for some, so almost guaranteeing my promotion. He's like, look, nobody can ever guarantee the promotion, really. It's hard to guarantee the promotion because the economic drivers may limit the number of people that can get a promotion. It may limit to 0 for the year, whatever it is. It's like, so the conversation that you have is actually, can you guarantee me your support for promotion? Everyone can guarantee their individual support. And so imagine the conversation that you can have, right? And that you should have if you are looking for promotion this upcoming year or even next year, right? The conversation of, can you guarantee me your support for promotion? If the person on the other side immediately is like, yep, absolutely, I guarantee you my support. Fantastic. Well, am I your number one? So if there's only one spot available, is it me? And the answer may be no. I will tell you, when I had that conversation, will you guarantee me your support? Absolutely. Am I your number one? You are not. You are number two. I was like, okay, so let's talk about that. And he gave me all the reasons why I was not the number one on his list, but I was number two. I was like, so okay, so if there are only 2 spots available, you are guaranteeing me your support, and you'll support me with others in the room. And this is someone that had a strong position in that room. He said, absolutely. Fantastic, right? So that can happen there. Or if they say, I can't guarantee you promotion, the response is, I know you can't guarantee me promotion, but you can guarantee me your support. If you don't feel comfortable guaranteeing me your support, that's okay. Can you tell me, what do you need to see in my performance, actions, etc.? Results are key for you to guarantee me your support. And you open up the conversation for that feedback. And then you say, okay, if these are the 3 things that you need to see from me, can we take a checkpoint in 3 months? See how it's going along. And that way you're able to gain their support. Here's the other magic thing that happens in that type of conversation is when somebody gives you, hey, here's what you need to do to get to that next level, they are now invested in you. If you don't achieve that next level, they themselves actually feel like it's a failure on their part. And so now you have someone that is a bigger supporter of you because you opened up to getting their very real feedback. You've taken the actions that you discussed, and now they're going to feel very tied to you. So in that room, when they have the voice to be able to give you the support to truly be a sponsor, they're going to speak up and speak up loud. Right. So that's an example of the type of very tangible thing. So then we go into, okay, have you power mapped your business segment in your company? Have you power mapped that? So do you know who are the people that you need to have this conversation with? What's the time frame that you need to have the conversation? How do you enable yourself to have the best possible chance? And these are the types of discussions that will be had as part of the LEAD program. I will tell you, 2 years ago, a senior manager from a company came out of the program saying, now I know why I haven't been promoted to partner. Right. And to me, that's where I go to. What are the 2 things? Clarity, key actions. Those are the 2 biggest things that you will have coming out of this that I believe will change your lives and will help you on your journey to create impact and change the lives of others.
So, Damian, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation for the audience, just like myself. Just that last 5 minutes is worth the insights that you're going to receive as part of the LEAD program. So just as a quick recap, this is going to be taking place August 3rd and 4th. You can visit the page down here, alpha.org. Page LEAD if you want to get more information. There will be a community, an alumni community right after the session. You're going to get exposed to great speakers, exercises, opportunities to network. And I'm going to go beyond networking and just strategic relationships, because this is what it's all about. You are going to have a full support system. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to the staff that is working nonstop to make this happen and to make it such a great experience for you. So this is going to be an entire experience. With that, I expect to see all of you if you don't mind, at the lead. If not a convention, I will be one of the speakers. I will be one of the coaches. I will be throughout the entire time. We are here to help support. If you have any questions, additional information that is required, reach out. We have the support materials, collateral materials to help you even present your business case. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Damian for some closing remarks. And thank you. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you very much, Fernando. You just did what you do, which I appreciate, because you said everything in 30 seconds that took me 30 minutes to say, right? At the end of the day, this is about generational change. It is about giving yourself the opportunity to have access to the experiences, to the network that's going to allow you to achieve your dreams, your aspirations. You are already your ancestors' wildest dreams come true. And what I ask of you is to consider what's that next step that you want to do. And as you are taking your next step, who are you going to bring along with you? This is your opportunity to make additional change happen. I want to see everybody there August 3rd and 4th, Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, Nevada. And stay for convention if you can. Convention's happening August 4th through 8th. I am excited and I cannot wait to see everybody there. Take care.